Yeah, I'm curious to know here how the family and because I saw when we asked the
Look
question.
at Ezzward's face.
I mean, my
Sheena got a little like, ugh.
I mean, she laughing because I don't really broadcast it. My parents know. I remember when I first told my mom, she's like, "My baby's going to hell." I was like, well, I guess.
Right. Did you feel judged by your family or her family at all?
Her family? No, I mean, her family.
All my family are shamans, so at this point.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We all are like on the same spiritual plane, so it makes it like as far as my
it's easier for acceptance.
Exactly.
Because
and
there's no.
Yeah, because we're all like moving in that way. We all are like, what we manifest and we bring about. And the great thing is that definitely we don't put any pressure on Ezzward and his belief system or lack thereof. We're not trying to change him.
I'm gonna be on the fifth dimension.
But it makes it easier for us. But I knew that like just today, I'm like, we're gonna be having this conversation. Did you tell your parents that you're gonna, what you're gonna be talking about?
Right.
Because it is something that is like his family. Like when I go, when I go down south, when I go to Memphis, his mom will invite me to church, and I'll go. Just because it's not something that I subscribe to doesn't mean I don't understand it or that I wouldn't get the message. Because the messages are universal. And I believe
absolutely, I agree.
As people, it's, you might pick up the book in red, you might pick up the book in green, you might pick it up in yellow, but the message is still there for us to better ourselves and for us to really have a better understanding of who we are. And even though Ezzward doesn't subscribe to it fully, don't act like you don't be lighting your candles, you got your bracelets on, we have some, just that
He's like, my wife makes me do these things. I go through the same thing. There's stuff I do right now that I only do it because.
Like that with a red shoe. Can we zoom in on the red shoe? She's wearing the red shoe.
You got your bracelet, he got her shoes, I got my shoes.
He got the hat, I saw the hat.
Yeah, you see?
Right.
But it's all about, being open with it, and just being receptive. But yeah, I knew that potentially they're going to be like, they're talking about that.
I have a question. How does that come into raising children?
Yep, that was my next
Because,
question.
Well,
I was thinking the same thing.
my daughter, she's at the age where she goes to church with my parents. So when she goes to Tennessee, she goes to church.
Oh, your family, yeah.
So she does the whole thing. I grew up there.
Is it confusing, you think, for her? Has she ever mentioned moments of being confused?
She asked me about it, and I'm just like, well, I don't believe, but whatever you feel like is right for you, that's gonna work for you.
And how old is she?
She's 9.
She's 9.
Okay.
But she's smart as a whip.
And 9 is when you realize this doesn't make
this
sense.
is not for me.
Got it.
Which was interesting because she also, she one day she asked me, because she said she was talking about it at school with her friends, and then so she asked me like, well, Mom, what do you believe? And I let her know, like I'm, being very honest with her. I used to go to church all the time. I said, but then Mom went on a journey. And when Mom was on her journey, this is where I came to. I was like, so, when people pass, and I'm like, they transition on, but they're still here because that's the universe that we're in. And so, I give her that information.
Try to give her as much information
that
as
I can, because at the end of the day, she still is a child, so it's going to take her some time for her to develop it on her own, and
Absolutely.
That's what I want her to have.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about your
Was that
children.
something you spoke about prior to having children, or prior to even like you're dating, you're married, and it's like, how do we want to raise our children in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, we knew because we had the background, I guess I grew up Pentecostal. So having grown up that entire time, I knew something wasn't right in terms of the religious aspect and in terms of the rules and all the stuff like that. So I knew I wanted to raise my kids differently, and I think we've done that. But super quick before we finish answering this, I think for Ezra to not say the A word helps in terms of acceptance, like atheist, to not label you, to not call you an atheist. I like
Would
this
you label
conversation.
yourself, or you just be like?
Yeah, would you say you are?
I went through like the whole thing. I'm
Agnostic, atheist.
Agnostic,
See,
atheist.
to me, I think it's the same thing as, are you Christian, Baptist?
Right.
It's like people want to put labels on people. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like it feels
whole-
good not to do that. To
Yeah.
have a conversation.
No, I
not to
agree
label
too.
him.
Because then you're not excommunicating or
Absolutely.
Because it's almost like a judgment when you start to use the
just-
label.
I was
It's
just
like,
about
oh, so
to say.
you're atheist? So
Right.
like, because I'm like, so yeah, my husband, like, oh, do you want to come to church with us? I'm like, well, I would be open to visiting
Right.
your church home. I said, you know, however, my husband, you know, he doesn't subscribe. Oh, he does. What does your husband believe in? I'm like, well, you know, and then do a deep breath. He's a atheist, and then it's like
That changes.
It changes the tenor, and then we're like, I feel like now it's like, oh, well, does he allow you to go to church? And then I'm like, well, okay, well, that's a whole nother
topic. So
But
have y'all had issues with friends because of that?
no, not our friend circle.
Right. Let's think about raising children nowadays, and at what point do you introduce the conversation about religion, beliefs? You know, your daughter is 9, you have some children who are younger. So what kind of practices do you put in place maybe from birth? You know, do you pray with your children at night? How do we navigate that in both relationships?
I had a conversation with my parents. They wanted to know if they could baptize my daughter. And I was like, basically said no. I mean, I want her to discover who she is and if she's gonna believe in Christianity or not.
Well, you were baptized.
No,
You weren't baptized?
no,
So your parents didn't baptize you?
no.
So why do they want to baptize your daughter if they didn't baptize you?
You know what? Actually, I don't even know I'm baptized now.
Oh, you don't know?
'Cause
You was baptized, brother.
They probably could have done while I was a baby. I was like,
If they're strong Christian parents,
Right.
because my parents did that to me. We were Christian, we were
Christian.
Christian,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we
then you were kind of
I
pushed
mean-
to be baptized.
Yeah.
I don't know, because every Sunday, you know, you get the wine,
Oh, they put the hand on you like that?
yeah, they're like, you know, like, no, you don't go up there.
Oh, so they
So I was
didn't.
like,
So you probably
okay.
didn't get baptized.
Yeah,
Okay, so they were probably waiting for you to feel moved.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
there's been times when like, I'm gonna go get that. And so I snuck up there and got it myself. 'Cause
Right.
I just want to be part of my cousins and my
Right,
other family
right, right.
members
Yeah,
doing. So
yeah.
like, I'm gonna do that too, but I really don't know if I was baptized or not. But so when they asked me, I was just like, you know what? I want to let her figure out who she is and let her make that decision on her own. Right now, she pretty much already believes in Christianity.
Right.
So-
And you're not gonna interfere on
No, I'm not
her.
going to. I mean, that's her journey. You think?
That's what's up. That's what's
That's
up.
dope.
Yeah, interestingly, I was 9 when I asked to be baptized. I was in church in Danville, Virginia, where my dad was born and raised with my grandmother. And I looked at her and I saw like her praising God and this joy that was on her heart. And I wanted that. I wanted, you know, in the face of all of life's ups and downs, I wanted to have that level of praise, you know. And so I asked to be baptized. I used to go down there for the summer. So my parents came down for my baptism. I got baptized in Danville. But to answer the question about our perspective on our children, we start right away, starting to introduce them to a relationship with their Heavenly Father. I believe that we are their earthly parents, and our job is to introduce them to their eternal relationship. Really, we're on assignment over their lives to steer them and to guide them, but to empower them to have oneness with God. And I think that's the important piece. While I continue to say we're not religious, it doesn't matter to me so much that my children are on someone's membership roll at a church, but it does matter that they have peace within themselves, within their soul, knowing that they have, eternal righteous standing.
It's funny you say, not to cut you off, but speaking as a child, right, I remember why I asked to be baptized, and it was similar to you. My cousins were baptized, so they all went to BTU. They all got, the special book, and it was like a cool thing. So I was like, shoot, they doing it.
Yeah.
One Sunday I got up there so I could be a part of it, and then I remember going to classes to learn about it. But I remember being young and saying the prayers. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die, I'm like, whoa. Like, this shit just got real. So it's like,
Right.
I could die. Why, what would I die? And then your parents spoke to you, if you don't do the right things, you can go to hell. It's eternal damnation. I'm like, I'm 9, like, eternal damnation. Like, this is all too much. Because we talked about
Pray the
this.
Lord, my soul to keep. Who's taking my soul now?
Right, like, no, in all honesty, it was just too much for me. So when
Right.
we were talking about taking our kids to church, my parents asked me, I was like, please just do not overwhelm my child
Absolutely.
with all of the talk of eternal damnation. They are not old enough to understand life or death. Let them enjoy themselves being kids. Let them be innocent.
And we haven't done that. But I can say this, that I want for my kids, I want them to one, know that they are absolutely positively loved by someone beyond us, and that love makes them safe, because there are going to be times that they will not have me to call on.
Yep.
And
I
our
agree.
biggest fear as parents
I agree.
is that our children are not safe. And I can tell you this, my mother, they have given me a lot. I got a lot of education, I got a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of parents. But the thing that they gave me the most is somebody to call on. I want to call them and like cry right now and thank them for that. You didn't bang me over the head with it, but you let me know that there was somewhere I could go in those nights that you weren't there. And I think that is what that's what I appreciate. It's not the religious, it's not the skirts, it's not all of that, it's not the heaven and hell. It is call out to someone and you will get help. So that's
funny.
what-
That's the sense of peace that I feel like religion gave. As a kid, getting it thrown at me, like, hell, fire, brimstone, death. Like that to me was just like, oh God.
Right.
But it was the sense of peace, and people find their peace differently.
Right.
You find your
Absolutely.
peace differently, knowing that you're in control of your existence. You found your peace.
Right.
But listening to you guys talk about finding your peace seems to be the core of what makes your marriage work.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because you know that you can find your peace, you can find your peace, you can find your peace, we can find our peace, you can find, and like, it makes it easier to be with somebody. Because it's almost like, well, I can also find my peace in my partner.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
When I'm going through my
Yeah.
worst times, before I even think about having to pray, I'm like, baby, I'm going through this. I need you to, be there. And we have that with each other. And it's good to see different couples
Right.
with different ideas
Right.
find that peace. Because now, it lets other people know, who, if they're going through that struggle, like, hey, maybe I met someone who's outside of my church, and it's fine because I can
Absolutely.
find peace in someone.
We're
You know what I'm
so-
saying?
Yeah, we're so thankful for a forum like this where we can have totally different beliefs, but
Yeah.
we can share them. And I think it goes back to talking about marriage and how it ties into religion and personal beliefs. Like Devale said, it's all about individuals and how you're able to cope and deal
Absolutely.
with
Yeah.
yourself
Life.
and
Yes.
finding that peace within
Yeah.
yourself. So we want to thank you all so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us
Thank you.
today.
Nah, this is dope. This
yeah,
is dope.
this is a really
definitely
great
dope,
one, and this
man.
is something that Devale and I debate and speak about often, not just with ourselves, but with just even family members and other
Yeah.
couples in general. So it's nice to hear different perspectives.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Couch Conversations. We'll see you next time.